Hey guys, this is Josh Kaler with the Pace of Richmond out of Keller Williams Richmond West, and I am here with Matt from Cowart Lending Team.
Hey, how are you guys?
So we're going to talk to you today about the state of the market, and we're going to get right to it. So what you got for me, Matt?
Yeah, Josh, I'm just curious, what are you seeing when you're taking people out to look at homes?
It's one of those things where it seems calm on the surface, but there's a lot of stuff going on that can be very competitive behind the scenes. So we're seeing days on market typically is about 21 days, oftentimes less. So you have those houses that are hanging out there for a while because they were priced a little too high, but then you have a lot of other houses that are going under contract sometimes before the first weekend. They hit coming soon and they go under contract with a cash offer by like Friday, or a lot of homes, if they're priced kind of right at market prices, are going under contract that weekend or the next weekend. First or second weekend we're seeing for a lot of homes.
Wow, so it sounds like things are moving really quickly.
Very fast.
Yeah, not surprising because Richmond's a super popular area right now.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're both seeing a lot of activity out there in the market. What are sellers looking at from buyers versus just purchase price? Are there other things that they're considering?
We're getting from feedback from sellers and listing agents a lot of times that when I'm working with a buyer, obviously price is always a concern. Everybody wants their highest and best price. However, a lot of listing agents and sellers are demanding that somebody not only have a pre-approval letter, but they want to see a pre-approval letter that tells their seller that you've actually talked to the lender about that specific house. They want to see specific numbers, they want to see verification of funds, they want to see a lot of things. And the more of those things that they see in an offer letter, in an offer and the accompanying pre-approval letter, it helps strengthen that offer. And those things can be huge in a multi-offer situation.
Absolutely, that totally makes sense. The seller wants to probably make sure that the buyer's done their homework and can actually buy the house that they're making an offer on.
So along those lines, when you're working with a real estate agent such as myself, how are you helping that client of mine and your client, the real estate agent, how are you helping that client agent team to win in those tough situations like that?
That's a really good question, Josh. We do a lot of our work up front. As you know, we like to talk to people early. We like to get them in, go through their numbers, not only see where they qualify, but also see what purchase price gives them the monthly payment they're looking for. We find that confident buyers win offers, and people are confident when they know their numbers. That's the scariest thing about buying a home, I think, sometimes is how much is this gonna cost me? What is my payment gonna be? So when we do that due diligence up front, people are really successful because when they see a home, they know, okay, this is within my budget, it's exactly what I want. They're able to move quickly.
Right, and in this market, you have a lot of buyers that want to show homes, and they're kind of kicking the tires on the real estate market or kicking the tires in regards to what agent they want to work with. And honestly, it's sometimes a difficult conversation to have with somebody that you really need to be pre-qualified, or not just pre-qualified, but have a pre-approval letter, strong pre-approval letter before you start looking at homes. Because if you don't know it's a home that you can afford, you're getting your hopes up, you're wasting several people's times, you're taking a slot at the home showing, and that could go to somebody else who actually is qualified for the home. But more so, you really want to put a buyer in a situation where they're going to succeed. They know their numbers, they know that what they can afford, they're looking within their budget, and they're prepared to make an offer. So when they see something that they like, they're prepared on the lending side. The agent is working with the lender and knowledgeable about the situation, and you can make that offer promptly, get in ahead of other people, and actually win the house instead of just finding something and then losing it to somebody, losing out to it, to somebody else who's more prepared.
Absolutely. So Josh, I know we've talked about how the market is and things are pretty busy. Do you think that the settlement from the National Association of Realtors will impact home buying or the market in any way?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something that everybody wants to talk about. It's in the news a lot. For our team, it doesn't really change a lot. Commissions honestly have always been negotiable. That's something that our team has articulated clearly to our sellers for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been on the team. When we sit down with a seller, we explain what our commission is, and then we explain the option of offering compensation to the buyer side, and we explain, the value and the pros and cons in doing so, and it's oftentimes, this is a different conversation, but it's oftentimes in the best interest of the seller to do so. But nobody's ever been absolutely required to do that, and that's something that's important. It's a conversation that we've already been having with our clients. On the buyer side, they're seeing this and they're wondering, am I going to have to pay an agent? Is it going to have to come out of pocket now versus possibly not coming out of pocket before? And so there's conversations that you have to have around your value and what we do as a team for our clients. And once we articulate all of the myriad of things, it's way beyond just opening a door or writing a contract. We're doing hundreds of things from start to finish, just like you're doing hundreds of things on the lending side. And so, you got to have those conversations. But honestly, I think that a lot of our clients value that conversation, value the knowledge behind it. They like to see the numbers. They like to know what they're getting into. And once we have those conversations beforehand and we decide to move forward because it's a good fit for both parties, then, it's good to hit the market being prepared.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. If you're a great agent already doing, the right things up front, it sounds like this settlement isn't going to change things too much.
Not really. I mean, there's buyers still need representation because you have to think about it. A buyer, if they approach a listing agent, for example, that listing agent, owes them honesty and fair dealing, but their fiduciary duty is to the seller. Mm-hmm. And so they're certainly willing to help a buyer, but from their perspective, their job, a listing agent's job, is to get as good of a deal for the seller, as little hassle for the seller as possible, as little protections for the buyer as possible, because those protections usually cut into the risk and reward for the seller. So we represent buyers and we're fighting for them in the opposite direction. We're negotiating for the buyer to have as many protections as possible, even if it causes inconvenience to the seller. We're trying to fight for as low of a price as possible, whereas the other side is trying to fight for as high of a price as possible. And having that representation and fiduciary duty of somebody representing each party is important, and a lot of people see that.
Absolutely. I can totally understand why having someone fighting specifically for you and what you want makes sense.
How are you guys handling it? I'm sure you're getting a lot of conversations, about this same topic. What are you seeing on the lending side, and how do you see that changing over the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that there's a lot, depending on how this all shakes out, that may need to change in the lending world. To me, the first thing that comes to mind is veterans who are looking to buy a home with a VA loan.
Definitely.
Legally, veterans on a closing disclosure or the final closing documents are not allowed to pay the buyer's agent any sort of compensation that cannot appear on the buyer's side of the closing disclosure. So it kind of puts veteran buyers in a disadvantage when we're talking about this settlement, because if it's a property where they have to pay their buyer's agent compensation, they can't. So I think things like that and some rules in lending, depending on, how everything shakes out, will have to be reevaluated and adjusted to make sure that people like our veterans have a fair chance at buying a home.
Right. And the Pace of Richmond, as well as the Cowart lending team with NFM Lending, both of us care about veterans very much. I'm a veteran myself, so we're going to be watching this closely, and we'll be back with more information as it develops. We're hoping that the legislation and policies within the Veterans Affairs, hopefully that changes for the better for all parties involved, but we're going to be keeping track of it. We're going to be monitoring it. We will keep you up to date, and most importantly, we're going to take care of the clients no matter what.
Absolutely. Clients are number one.
Clients are number one, and that's it for today. This is the state of the market with Josh and Matt. I hope you guys learned something. I am going to drop the number for both of our teams in the description, and if you have any questions, give us a call.
Hope to talk to you soon. Bye.